Tomorrow is the big night, the first presidential debate. And just as important as what the candidates say is how they'll say it. To discuss the right and wrong presidential moves are Blake Zeff, former campaign aide to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, Nancy Cohen, a political historian, Patsy Cisneros, the CEO of PoliticalIcon.com, Tonya Reiman, a body language expert, and Travislrvine, a filmmaker and third-party activist. Nancy, I want to start with you as the political historian amongst us. How important is the way that a candidate sort of carries themselves to how they're perceived to have done in the debate versus the actual words that they say and the policies that they espouse?
Well, in many ways, it's more important because they are so scripted that really the purpose of the debate is to knock them off their talking points and see who they really are inside. So there's so many examples from history where people have virtually lost the presidency by their debate gaffes. Dukakis in 1988, when the first question of the debate, he was asked, if your wife were raped and murdered, would you support the death penalty? And he just stood there completely emotionless, no reaction, stiff. And then as he answers about how he still is against the death penalty, he has this awkward smile on his face. And people looked at that and they thought, how can I trust this man who has actually no emotion? I mean, it's as if in the dictionary next to tone deaf, there was a picture of Dukakis.
Let's actually, I just want to take a look at that because we do have that clip and it's a perennial favorite. Let's just have a look.
The first question goes to Governor Dukakis. You have 2 minutes to respond. Governor, if Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, would you favor an irrevocable death penalty for the killer?
No, I don't, Bernard, and I think you know that I've opposed the death penalty during all of my life.
That is just so kind of such a weird wooden way of responding, right? Because even if you oppose the death penalty, it wouldn't be that hard to say, obviously I'd want to rip the guy's head off, but that's why we outsource revenge to the government, and that's why we don't believe in living in an anarchic society or something like that. Blake, you've worked training candidates on this sort of stuff. Do you think he will? How do you think he'll do?
Well, do I think he needs a personality transplant? I think he may be out of time for that. But just to get back to what we were talking about before with respect to body language, most of the gaffes and what we've come to see as very famous moments in debate history that people sort of suggest cost people the election. It turns out when you look back on it, a lot of that has been overblown statistically. It's not actually true that most gaffes are what cost people tremendously in the polls. And what political scientists have done is they've gone back and seen that actually sometimes that's overstated by pundits. However, there is an exception. And that is very relevant to this discussion, which is Al Gore in 2000, when he was running against George Bush, was ahead by as much as 8 points in a lot of the polls. And then during the debates, if you watch, he does quite a good job on points, so to speak, in the debates against Bush, kind of killing him with facts. But what he does is he comes across as very over-aggressive, just to sort of paraphrase the electorate, not particularly likable. And what you actually ended up seeing happen was his 8-point lead vanished during the course of the 3 debates.
It's all about authenticity. And if you go back to what we were talking about with Dukakis, why he didn't come across as emotional, I think that answer was way too practiced for him. And it came across like he was answering anything else. The difference is, though, if you do watch him for the few seconds following that, you do see him shift around, which is an indication of some leakage. It's some leakage of stress, the fact that he shifts his body around. When we go back to Gore, I think one of the most important elements was throughout those 3 exchanges he had with Bush, you saw a different person in each exchange. The first, he was like a little bit non-emotional. The second one, he was a big gesticulator. And then the third one, he became over-aggressive. So it's also about consistency and authenticity. And if we don't know who you really are, it poses a problem.
Travis, as a voter, does any of this actually matter to you, or do you think that you make up your mind basically essentially on policy?
No, I think it makes a big difference. In fact, as a third-party activist, I'm still waiting for you guys to bring up my favorite debate of the last 20 years, which was when Ross Perot was included in 1992. Mm-hmm. That was huge for a third-party candidate to get in the presidential debates. And I think tomorrow we're in for a real snooze fest, really. I mean, the differences between Obama and Romney are minuscule on domestic policy. They're probably going to talk about economy, jobs, healthcare, and they're going to ignore stuff like our military interventions, crack down on civil liberties, and those are things where I think third-party candidates like Barry Johnson with the Libertarians and Jill Stein with the Green Party could really kind of address issues that neither Obama or Romney want to address, and issues where they're pretty much the same.
So what advice would, as an image specialist, what advice would you give to the candidates tomorrow night?
Well, they both need to have a warmth about them in their voice, the way they project their voices, as well as their body language. So I take care of both of those areas in my coaching for my candidates. And I see Obama as very warm in his body language. However, when he's off teleprompter, I'm a little concerned about his little bit of a stutter that happens, and he kind of looks away, and I think that it's not a strength that I'd like to see him come from.
Do you think, sorry, you just mentioned the stutter, which is interesting.
Speaking that he has, he's a great speechwriter, just like his own speechwriter, so he knows the words are there. He shouldn't be umming and ahhing so much and drawing that out quite so long. And for Romney, it would be very important for him to not have his pendulum go so far as trying to be so warm that he looks like he's weak.